Congratulations to Her Royal Highness Princess Eugenie on the arrival of ERNIE Brooksbank, safely delivered a week ago today. Jack and I wanted to share the news that we had our little boy, Ernest George Ronnie Brooksbank, on the 30th of May 2023 at 8:49. He is named after his great-great-great-grandfather George, his grandpa George, and my grandpa Ronald. So where did you get the name Ernest from, my dear? The mind boggles. All these Ernies and Ronnies and Archies and Lilies, like a bunch of East End gangsters and their moles. Is Ernie named after Benny Hill and the fastest milkman in the West? Or is it a literary nod to the work of Oscar Wilde, my dear, and the importance of being earnest? Well, whatever the reason for that strange choice, Augie is loving being a big brother already. How wonderful. Welcome to the broadcast, my fruits. Oh dear, the Duke of Sussex. The Duke of Sussex seemed to have made a bit of a clanger. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He seems to have made a trifle of a clanger today. Didn't your wife tell you, Dupey? Didn't she tell you? When she summoned you to her board table, her huge board table for a meeting with the executive, with the chairmaness of the board, Rachel Ragland, the Duchess of Montecito. Didn't she tell you, Harold, my dear, that first impressions count, and if you want to make a good impression on your first day in court, turn up. Turn up, my dear. Oh dear. Because Mr. Justice Fancourt, yes, our dear friend Jussie Fancourt, is not impressed and actually voiced his frustrations with Prince Harry today, yes. The Duke of Sussex seems to want to do things his way. It beggars belief, doesn't it? Truly. Yeah, he's taken a leaf out of his wife's book and he todgered his way. Oh yes, he did. Here I come, watch out. Not ladies first, not gents first, but Todgers first. Oh, watch out, photographer. Oh, so many cameras surrounding me. I'll headbutt them out the way. Todgers his way. He thinks he's Elvis the Pelvis, doesn't he, mate, dear? So we're not falling for it. He todgered his way in invisibly. But he todgered his way into the kingdom overnight, and he appears to have frustrated Mr. Justice Fancourt at the first hurdle. Terrible. Harry's barrister suggested that he was delayed. Did you hear this excuse? Due to little Diana Bett. To little Diana's Bett's birthday party. Oh dear. You could have a field day with that name, couldn't you? Poor gal. Lilibet Diana, the ugliest name in Christendom. That poor girl. Little Diana's Bet had a birthday party yesterday in Monty. And Harry just had to be there, just like he had to scramble and dash back from the Coronation for Archibald. Old Archie Leach. Murchie. Just like he had to scramble back for Murchie. Well, Lilybucks as well has a party, and he has to show the world that he's a dad. He's a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. Yeah, I'm a proud girl dad, and I'm going to show my credentials. She's two. Do you think she'd have noticed, my dear, if you'd skipped out, or if you'd have taken an earlier flight in the day, had a birthday breakfast with little Diana's Bet, and then fluttered off and got here on time, or a day early, which might have made a better impression for Justice Fancourt? I ask you, a kid's birthday party, and that's an excuse? Well, you might hold that as an excuse. You also might be withholding the fact that you don't want to spend extra nights here because it might have implications on your tax responsibilities, your burden with regards to nights spent here in the kingdom. He has written a witness statement, which was supposed to be read today, or is being read today, and scrutinised by the parties involved. And it will make him the first senior royal, and I use the word senior very loosely due to his current status, the first senior royal to be cross-examined in court since the 19th century. Oh dear. His lawyer, David Sherborne, delivered the news that Harry will not be dropping in until tomorrow. He's got better things to do, my dear. He's got better things. He's going to drop in tomorrow. Well, when discussing these timetable arrangements with the judge, Sherborne said that Harry was obviously in a different category to other witnesses due to his travel and security arrangements. Excuse me? Excuse me? A different category? Oh, really? His travel and security arrangements are his private concern as a private citizen of Montecito, ex of the kingdom. They're his private concern. What sort of category is he that puts him a world apart from the rest of the high play, the pedestrians, the humble peasants and paupers? What kind of category? Is it that he is part of the elite, the Hollywood elite? Well, he's not even that. The wannabe Hollywood elite. Basically, a neighbour of the Hollywood elite. A husband of Toronto soap opera royalty. That category. And can I please ask, Harold dear, is this a state visit? Was this a state visit to the kingdom? That your travel arrangements and your security were so overblown due to your own careless, reckless disclosures in your book that put you at risk. Is it a state visit? Were you flying in on Air Force One? Really? The barrister's actual words were that the Duke of Sussex is attending tomorrow to give evidence. He flew in yesterday evening from Los Angeles, where he attended his daughter's birthday. And Mr. Justice Fancourt said that he was a little surprised to hear that the Duke would not be attending court today. He actually had quite a few brusque words that have been all over the news and making headlines. And he said that he had given a direction earlier in the trial that witnesses should be available the day before their evidence was due to be heard in case the legal team's opening speeches ran short. You know, this is not just a weekly affair. Off the top of my head, I think it might be an 8-week trial. Don't quote me on that, but we are at the midpoint. Oh no, there's been plenty of time for these preparations. Plenty of time. Why was this ignored? And if the Duke of Sussex is not and was not answerable to the late Queen or the King Regnant, even if he can't find it within his own spirit to find himself answerable to them as sovereigns, one could at least think that he should be answerable to Mr. Justice Fancourt, if he considers himself a man of the people. Did this boy learn absolutely nothing at Eton College other than how to hang out of a bog window with a joint in his hand? I ask you. The lawyer representing Mirror Group newspapers also expressed his frustration that he will not have enough time to cross-examine Harry on all aspects of the claim, because there are 33 articles that they have to dispute the ins and outs over. And he says that he needs 1.5 days. He says it can't be done in one day. And he said that it was extraordinary that they were only told yesterday that Harry would not be available for day one of proceedings. Well, and he said, we are deeply troubled by that, and I don't blame him. Not that I have an affection for Mirror Group newspapers, but I don't blame the lawyer. I don't blame the boy. And Justice Fancourt said that he would not restrict cross-examination to just a day, and that he will make the court and the Duke, if necessary, sit for longer hours on Tuesday and Wednesday, if necessary. So, Yaboo shucks to you. How about Duke of Sussex? That might have put a little spanner in your work. Oh, I'll just drop in and drop out as I see fit on my schedule. Well, no, my dear. You might have to deduct an extra night from your little summary your little tally of how many nights you've spent in the kingdom, you might have to add another one there and remove one from the United States of America, because Mr. Justice Fancourt might need you for 2 extra days, or at least 1 extra day, due to this tardy sloppiness, which I find a little bit entitled. A little bit entitled. If he's recovering from jet lag or catching up with his mates, if he has any leftover here, well, he should have just planned to arrive earlier. Simples. And Harry's barrister went on to outline their claim that 30 investigators, at least 30, were used by Mirror Group newspapers to obtain information about Harry. They say there are 147 articles to back up their claims, a fraction of the volume, and they gave some more examples of stories that they say were obtained illegally, such as Harry catching glandular fever, loads of stuff about Chelsea Darby, fighting with William, various stories emerging from times during his army training. Well, that's all. That's not for me to judge at this point. That's for Mr. Justice Fancourt to look over and see what he feels about those claims. And some of them may have validity. Some of them seem to have been fought back quite valiantly so far by Mirror Group newspapers, because they'd already appeared in other publications. But perhaps there is some validity in some of them. It's a very dirty business. If Mr. Justice is satisfied and finds that there is just reasons for bringing these claims much later than he should have done, then that is his business. And I will be listening and learning with open ears and an open mind. But what I do not approve of is bad manners, and that is what I found rather disgruntling about today. It's what Justice Fancourt found rather disgruntling, and it's what the national press have been gruntling about and grunting over, because it is bad form and bad manners. You were told to be there by the judge. You don't get to make those judgments. But despite your category as the spare, I ask you, he's in a different category from Joe Public. Really? I wouldn't be surprised if there was a sadistic element to Harry's non-appearance so far today at the time of recording, because I'm sure the spectacle of the media all scrambling to get together to prepare to take pictures and photographs of Harry and make a killing and make lots of money out of him today and getting absolutely none is rather delicious for the Duke. Well, fair play to him. I'll give him that one. That must be rather satisfying to see them all turn up and get absolutely nothing today, but they'll get their payday tomorrow or the next, I'm sure. Yes, the last senior royal, as I say, was to appear under cross-examination was in the 19th century. It was King Edward VII in his previous role as the Prince of Wales, and he gave evidence. He gave evidence for a card game in which there was some cheating going on, and in one divorce case in which he denied any improper familiarity. So, scandal in the 19th century. Hey, but as many of you know, it was Princess Anne who was the last royal to be caught up really in trial proceedings of this sort of scandalous nature. Yes, Anne, of all of them, appeared at Slough Magistrates' Court to plead guilty after her dogs bit 2 children. Oh dear. And speaking of Annie, her beautiful and delightful daughter, Zara O'Hara, was seen at Epsom Festival, adding a touch of glamour to Derby Day in this white midi with black stripes. Lovely. Matching hat with cockade. And I'm not talking about Mickey. Mickey was in his matching tie. Very nice. Yes. Always in their element, isn't it? Chuck them in with some horses and some booze and they are happy. We do love them dearly. We do. And over in Romania, yes, more happy scenes from Romania. Oh, the king adores Romania. And guess what? The people of Romania absolutely adore the king. And he was received at a reception. And he spoke with their Secretary of State for Health. Handsome chap, I think was a former model. And he said, "Do you know why King Charles is so loved in Romania?" because he has been coming to Romania for more than 25 years. In all that time, he has become a true ambassador for our country. I am truly honoured to have met King Charles III last night. So it again is an occasion where, no, I was not exaggerating in my previous broadcast when I told you how beloved he is overseas. Not just in Romania, not just in Jordan, where familial relationships are, but you know, the soft power, the diplomacy we have due to our monarchical dynasty is wonderful, is priceless, can't be bought, and it's certainly worth a quid in tax. And as he arrived in the locale where he owns his own guest house and stays once a year, he was met with raptures, and the villagers, the humble peasants and paupers of the village, greeting him as an old friend, because that is what he is. They show him true deference as our king, but also true love as a friend and a man of the people. Wonderful, heartwarming. And I am quite sure that under different circumstances, more civil circumstances, the king would have been delighted to have spent time this week with his beloved granddaughter, little Diana's Bet, or little Betty. They must have... I always thought, can you imagine Charles and Camilla, upon hearing the news that is what the bairn was to be called, the poor child, the poor innocent child. I mean, he must have had his head in his hands, and Camilla must have made him crack up with laughter. You know, when they got the giggles when they were watching some very talented but strange-sounding musicians, I think it was in New Zealand. And yes, it was a bit naughty of them to get the giggles, but it was also hilarious. And I think that they would have had the same reaction when they had heard that is what that poor innocent child had been saddled with. Little Lilibet Diana. It's a kind of name you give to a frog princess, you know. I think it's the Lilibet bit. It reminds me of like Lilibet. What is it that frogs do? Ribbit, 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 Lilibet, 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 Lilibet. Yes, that's why it does. Yes, it's like a frog princess. No disparagement to the child. It's a disparagement to the parents and their poor taste. But yes, they would have loved to have spent time getting to know Lilibet. But they were robbed of that chance. Robbed. Well, the press, of course, had been reporting that Lilibet was snubbed for her second birthday. Because last year, the Twitter accounts for the royal family, for the king and the queen and the papaus, all wrote their happy birthday messages. This year, radio silence. This year, tumbleweed. Well, to be quite honest with you, I have long called for a cessation of happy birthday greetings on Twitter on behalf of any royal family member or their social media accounts. I think it is tacky, I think it is vulgar, and yes, I will accept some new furnishings of the modern era, have to be please the people in some way, be there, be present. But birthday greetings I find vulgar and tacky on anybody's Facebook pages. It's so attention-grabbing, so narcissistic. It's a birthday. You send out your invitations, you celebrate with your loved ones, they make a great big fuss of you, exactly as it should be. You can make a great big fuss of it yourself, my dear, but do we really need to announce all these things chiming all over? And exactly as I warned when I complained about this to you in the past, the moment that they don't, and the moment that they skip somebody out of an ever-increasing family, that is when the headlines will come out. Snubbed, 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 snubbed. So you're not going to please everybody by doing this. If I had my way, the only person that would get paid this attention is the king for his birthday, with the possible inclusion of Queen Camilla, although I still don't especially think that's necessary. She's not our sovereign. She's not our head of state. She is our beloved queen. But yes, we mentioned the king's birthday, but do we really need to introduce royalty, the royal family, to some commoner's muck family? Some chav family? No, we don't. But that is what people do. Well, I am glad there was no mention of Lilibet's birthday, but not because it happens to be Lilibet, although that was silly to mention any of their birthdays because they ain't working royals. They haven't been for a couple of years, so that was silly anyway. But I would feel the same even if it was one of the Wales children's accounts, even the heir. We don't need all of this. It's so immature. Let's have royalty representing maturity, and who don't like it can go flush, can't they? It's time that people start playing to the sophisticated, and I'm even speaking to myself here, because sometimes even I will try and caveat and shroud things for the cheap seats when I don't have to bother. I wouldn't mix with those types. And I'm not talking about any social type. I am talking about those with no sophistication. And you can find sophistication in all stripes, all classes. It doesn't matter whether people agree with you or whether they disagree with you, but it is the level of sophistication. Low lives are low lives. And I, for one, am going to try and take the lesson on to myself, that I will speak to those of you that are mature. You know, whether you can be mischievous like me and have a bit of fun, whether you agree with me or not. But those of you who are mature-minded, seasoned, and have some sophistication, and don't need everything shrouded in caveat. Because what the royal family do when they wish every little minor player a happy birthday is playing to the cheap seats and the low lives and the unsophisticated. And that is not what I want them to represent. And who don't like it can go flush. So it's a reminder to them and a reminder to me. I won't be seeing that muck that I wouldn't mix with, that wouldn't even dare approach me, and that I would ask the maitre d' to reseat if they came anywhere near me in a restaurant. Not that they would inhabit the same restaurant as me. You know, I speak to those of you who get me and I get you, and we have a good old jolly fruity time together, don't you, my dears, with a sense of mutual respect, because that's what it's all about. But I don't suffer fools. The royal family shouldn't suffer fools, and Justice Fancourt will not be suffering fools either by the look of it. So that at least is encouraging. The King will celebrate an official birthday this month, the same as the late Elizabeth did. He will be celebrating it on the 17th of June through the traditional Trooping the Colour celebrations. It will be known as the King's Birthday Parade. His actual birthday falls in November. It's nonsense, isn't it? It's nonsense on stilts, it truly is, but there is reason for it. This tradition began in the 1700s. It was 1748, I believe, when King George II, whose birthday also fell in November, same as our King Regnant, noticed that it would be a chilly time of year. And back in the 1700s, you did not want to catch a cold, my dear, because it would be curtains for you and all those around you. So he thought, no, we won't be parading around in November. We will save my official celebration of my birth till the summery months, when we could do a proper procession and parade with a good chance of sunshine. Well, anything's possible here, my dear, on this magical isle. But, no, there's a bit more chance of sunshine if things fall in June. And the tradition remained. So it is a bit loopy, I'm afraid. It is a bit loopy, and it does make me raise an eyebrow. I mean, really? His birthday is not till November, or, we're celebrating it months after November, whichever way around it is. But it is these eccentricities, isn't it, my dear, that are endearing, that speak to tradition and culture and value and ritual, and add a bit of whimsy to life as well. A bit of nonsense is good. A bit of nonsense and mischief is joy. So if he wants to celebrate his November birthday in June, there you have it, my dear, that's royal. It's a good excuse for pageantry too, and for visibility. So get on with it. We send our special thoughts and our special love to our fruits of India. Best wishes to you, my dear, after, to be serious for a moment, a horrific accident in India truly, to anybody who might be affected or is in the area, we send you our love. And so did the king, who sent a message of condolence to India. There's so much strife and trouble everywhere, isn't there? It always has been, but it seems especially prevalent in the modern age when the news cycle is rammed down our throats constantly. For the king, it must be rather a challenge to decide which disasters, natural or non-natural, which tragedies to address and to send condolences to, because he would spend his entire life writing out these condolences if 'twere to address all of them. But he has to make a special choice here and there, and he did decide to send his message to the president of India, and said, "Both my wife and I have been most profoundly shocked and saddened by the news of such a dreadful accident outside Balasore. I'd like to express our deepest possible condolences to the families of all those who have so tragically lost their lives. I do hope you know what a special place India and the people of India have in our hearts. I have particularly fond memories of visiting Odisha in 1980 and meeting some of its people on that occasion. I pray, therefore, that you may be able to convey our most heartfelt prayers and sympathy to all those who have been affected by this appalling tragedy, together with our special thoughts for the people of Odisha." Thank you for joining me today, my fruity ones. I appreciate your company, and do leave me a nice, juicy comment. I look forward to seeing you in the next broadcast, and stay royal. Channel the royal spirit and toodle pip.